Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers of this Congress, not only for inviting me to speak here, but also to organize such an important Congress. Kazakhstan is a very important mining country. It's number 1 in uranium, number 2 in chromite, and some other materials under the top 10. And therefore, it's also a great pleasure for me, as you already know, that the International Organizing Committee of World Mining Congresses decided to award Kazakhstan for the World Mining Congress in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, you see on this graph the development of mining production globally. And what you can see is the huge difference from 2003 onwards. This is due to the huge production raise, which is an answer to the huge demand for minerals, especially in China. And whatever you can see also on this graph is most of the minerals, namely more than 80%, are energy fuels. On this diagram, we can see the distribution where the minerals are coming from. Once again, the most important continent is Asia, and the rest of the continents are more or less important, but not as Asia. And this graph gives an answer as well. The BRIC countries, Brazil, India, China, South Africa, now the BRICS, and India, is more or less the reason why the production figures are as important as you can see. And I would like to focus your attention also to this diagram, which shows on the one hand side the world production, the production in Europe, the production in the European Union, and just to give you an idea, the minerals production of the newly formed Eurasian Union. Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus. And these 3 countries are producing nearly double than the production of the European Union. However, this graph shows that nearly 2/3 of the minerals production are coming from politically unstable countries. So that we have very much concerns that the supply of the minerals needed for the economy is not ascertained. Here you can see the 20 largest producer countries worldwide. The most important country is by far China, which produces nearly 1/4 of the total world mining production. And under the top 15th, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is an important mining country of the world. The same is by value, not only by production. Production, value of the mining products are important for the whole economy and for Kazakhstan as well. Well, whatever isn't grown, it has to be mined. And everything starts with mining. And the economy depends on mineral products. And when the supply chain is interrupted, you have serious problems for the whole economy and for your well-being as well. Therefore, it has been of crucial importance to the European Union to check whether the mineral supply is safe or not. And in 2010, a working group of the European Commission had to evaluate the criticality of some mineral commodities. The criticality can be defined in several manners. One is the supply risk, and the second is the economic importance. The supply risk is shown at the Y, and the economic risk on the X line of this diagram. And the more on the right and the more on the upper side, the risky the mineral, the critical. The supply risk can be evaluated with a simple formula considering substitution, the recycling rate, and the product of the concentration of a country or the countries and the political stability. The political stability has been evaluated by the World Bank with the so-called World Governance Index. It is not invented by the Austrian government, but it's statistically well defined. The concentration index can be calculated by the so-called Herfindahl-Hirschman index, the HHI, which is a commonly accepted measure for the market concentration, simply calculated by the sum of the squares of each company competing the world market, or in our case, the country concentration of each country. Just let me show you this result. If this HHI is lower than 1,000, we are talking about a low risk or low concentration. If the HHI ranges between 1,000 and 2,000, there's a moderate risk, and a concentration higher than 2,000 is more or less risky, a high risk. Here you can see as an example the HHI for antimony, which is shown on the right column, and you can see the huge concentration of one country, it's China. There are many other competitors, but with a low production, and so the figure indicating the HHI is much higher than 2,000, so we are talking about a huge concentration. And when we have on the one hand side a huge concentration so that some countries can control the market, and on the other hand, some of those countries are politically unstable, we have a risk. So here you can see, once again, the so-called Herfindahl-Hirschman index and the World Governance Index of World Bank as well, as I talked about. And on the other side, we have the so-called Economic Importance Index, which is a little bit more complicated to define. It's a quotient of the weighted sums of a single megasectors of the economy expressed as an added value and the European gross domestic product on the other side. In 2010, 41 of those minerals have been evaluated, and some of them have been identified as being critical, such as antimony, beryllium, cobalt, niobium tantalum, fluorspar, gallium, germanium, graphite, indium, magnesium, the PGEs, rare earths, and tungsten. Why? The answer is simple. We do not have developed mineral deposits in the European Union. Also, we have mineralizations, but they have been ignored in the past. 2014, the same exercise was done with, for 54 minerals. Some new minerals like coking coal. Coking coal is crucial to the steel economy. And as a result, we have more minerals identified as being critical, such as antimony, beryllium, the borates, coking coal. Coking coal has not been evaluated in the exercise 2010. Chromium, cobalt, fluorspar, gallium, germanium, indium, magnesite, magnesium as a metal, natural graphite, niobium, phosphate rocks, PGEs, heavy and light rare earth elements, silicon metal, and finally tungsten. So these are the results. I'm sorry for being late. And this was the exercise 2010. On the right upper side, the most critical elements. On the left lower side, those minerals which are more or less not critical for the industry. And these are the results of the exercise 2014. These are the differences between both evaluations. You can see 14 minerals have been identified in 2010. We have 20 minerals identified as being critical in 2014. And you can also see some explanation about the difference of the evaluation between the 2010 and 2014 exercise. Well, if you're interested getting more details, I can show you some sources. It's the World Mining Data 2014, which is an annual publication edited by the Austrian government with strong cooperation and assistance of the International Organizing Committee of World Mining Congresses. It's also to be retrieved via internet. The World Governance Index, showing the political stability of the single producer countries. And finally, the report of the European Union for the critical minerals evaluation 2014. Thank you very much for your attention.